Amal, we have about 35 people here today and a lot of students from CSU.
Okay.
This is rather quick. On Saturday, there was a speaker from Churches for Middle East Peace downtown at Trinity Cathedral. His name was Warren Clark. And he said several things, and I just want to see what your reaction is. He spoke of the leaders of the PA, I think Fayyad and Abbas, as moderates. So that's number one. Are they really moderate because they cooperate with the United States? And the second thing, which is really the important thing, is he said under this past administration, the security situation and the economy was improving in the West Bank. So is Abbas and Fayyad, are those people moderates? And on the ground is the security situation, which they've been in charge of, cooperating with the United States until recently. Has the security and the economy on the ground in the West Bank gotten better?
Okay. Well, I don't... if moderation means giving more and more concessions and going on with negotiations until death, I think this is the doctrine of Mr. Abbas, negotiations until death. They're doing a great job of being moderates, yes. They're giving concessions all the way. I'm not sure whether the audience know that the Palestinians have control over 10% of historic Palestine now. And when we talk about a state within the 1967 borders, there are secret negotiations that has been going on for years now for an exchange of land and inhabitants. That's what they call it. Which means that Israeli leadership, they want a pure Jewish state. In order to do that, they have to get rid of 1.5 million people who are living within the 1948 borders. And there's an area that is called the Triangle. A majority of Palestinians living there. So they want to take the settlements under the Israeli sovereignty, under the Israeli control, and take another portion of historic Palestine and attach it to the Palestinian state. This means, again, another ethnic cleansing. They want a pure Jewish state for their own. And I think, behind the scenes, the moderate Palestinian leaders are okay with these schemes. There have been other conferences and other negotiations on the stage and behind the stage that are talking about the question of refugees, and the current leadership is okay with it. The question of the refugees is not for the final negotiations. The question of the refugees will be over by the time we reach the final negotiations stage. It will be over because there will be no place for these refugees to come and live in. When they say that the Palestinian state will allow refugees to come and live within this state of 1967, they mean that they will allow about 50,000 of the refugees to come and live within this 1967 state. They don't mean by any way that these refugees will have the right to go back to Haifa, to Jaffa, to Akka, to the cleansed villages that they were thrown out from. If this is moderation of these, yes, these people, these leaders are doing very well in coordinations with the Israelis and the U.S. Now, your second question about the economy. I can tell you that according to the Bureau of Statistics here, that 55% of the Palestinians have no jobs, unemployed, where it's in the state like 10% or 11% under the current economic crisis. Imagine a state with 55% of its working population are not employed. But also imagine that there are about 150,000 to 190,000 who are employed by the PA, in the ministries and the commissions and all government offices. These people actually, maybe more than 50% of them are not actually producing anything at all. They go every day to their offices, but they don't accomplish anything. Everything is being set up on papers, on reports, but on the actual terms, there is nothing that has been accomplished. We do not have a productive economy that produces goods, that produces machineries. We are a consuming society here. The economy is flourishing for those capitalists who are bringing goods from abroad. Yes, we have those. We have 2 cell phone companies that taking money from the pockets of the people, but they're not investing in the real economy, in the production economy, in industry, in agriculture. On the contrary, part of our agricultural land is being confiscated by the Israelis, while another bulk of this land is being bought by these investors to build real estate projects, property development projects, that takes the land from these peasants for, peanuts, and they're building housing projects on them. So actually there is nothing left for the Palestinians to work in. No land to farm and no factories to work in. We have only government employees and non-governmental organizations employees. So if we consider this a flourishing economy, and if we consider the GPA is advancing, this is because we are getting all the money from abroad. And this money that we are getting from the donors is going to certain projects that has nothing to do with the economy, but has to do with what they call it, bribes and corruption and whatever.
Amal, we have one unrelated question from Issam Zaim. When is the Arab Spring going to hit Palestine, or will it? Right, pretty much? If it's okay to ask these questions unrelated to the debate topic.
Well, this is a paradox, Palestinians have been involved in the revolution for most of their lives, but when the Arab uprising and the Arab revolution started in Tunisia and then Egypt, we couldn't see anything here. Our leadership is not happy for the fact that Zain al-Abidin bin Ali of Tunisia is being ousted from his office because he was their guy. He was hosting them all through the 80s, after 1982 Lebanon war. He was a good friend for our guys here. So they were not happy with this fact that this guy is finally gone. They were not happy, absolutely not, for ousting Hosni Mubarak from his post, because he was their ally. He was the big brother for our leadership here. To tell you the truth, this political system that we have is much more corrupted than any other Arab state regime. And we need to have We need to have another uprising. But Abbas is promising the world, he's promising the whole world that there is no third intifada coming along. He will not allow a third intifada against the occupation because his doctrine is negotiations, negotiations, negotiations. While a youth group in Jordan today, and it's called the Youth Coalition of the Third Intifada, were demonstrating in front of Palestine, the Palestinian embassy in Amman, Jordan, against the P.L.O bid to the UN today. And there are the Palestinian youth movement, which represents the youth movement in more than 10 countries in Europe, in the Arab world, and in the US, who are refusing this move by the P.L.O. So I hope that it will come eventually. This Arab revolution will hit us, but if it does, I mean, it's going to be a real wild in the occupied territories here, and hopefully it will come sooner than later.
Thank you, Amal. Assam did say this. Assam said, not in Syria, as far as corrupt leadership. He said Palestine was the worst. He said maybe next to Syria, yes. So it's debatable, I guess.
Yes. We don't want to talk about Syria. We also have here arguments about what's going on in Syria. But again, if we look at what's going on in the whole Arab world after the Tunisian revolution, we can see that the Western power, the US and the Western power, are trying their best so that these revolutions stay aligned with their interests, with the West interests. They cannot afford an Arab world free and democratic. They don't want democracy for any of the Arab. If they wanted democracy, they could start from Saudi Arabia and the Emirates. We can see what's going on in Bahrain. Nobody mentions anything in Bahrain. Nobody mentions anything in Yemen. While Yemen is is boiling. They want a reconciliation in Yemen, but they want to ask Assad. Anybody who can answer this question, why not in Yemen, but why it's good in Syria? Because they are against any resistance in the area, and they don't want a free Arab world, a free Arab people. They want us as puppets. If we are doing the job as it is engineered by them, we are okay, and we are good people. But if we start doing our own job, our own, according to our interests and according to our principles, then we are colliding with the interest of the US and the West. We have to be really obedient with going by what the West wants us to do, but being free, that's not for us. That's not a future designed for us by the West.
We need a spring in the West. We need a revolution to come to the USA to stop the subjugation of Palestine and the Arab countries, I believe. Who's voting for a revolution in America? Anybody? Oh, we're seeing lots of hands coming up.
Got my vote.
Don,
Yes.
I think what's going on in the Arab world now, it's because of the crisis, the economic crisis that hit the US now, hitting the European really hard. That's why they're diverting their attention to where the good money is, where the money is, where the oil is, in Libya, in